Next, Syria's President Bashar al-Assad has welcomed support from Iran and Russia in the fight against the surprise rebel offensive in the north of the country. The rebels have taken control of Syria's second largest city, Aleppo. The National Army says it's preparing a counter-offensive. Well, let's speak to our correspondent in Beirut, Lina Sinjab. Thanks for joining us on the program, Lina. Lina, what's the latest there from Syria?
Well, government and Russian-backed airstrikes are still continuing in Aleppo and in the north, in rebel-controlled Idlib, leaving many civilian casualties. Overnight, the number of civilian casualties was nearly 25 people who've been killed in airstrikes. And, you know, residents inside Aleppo that we've spoken to said they have faced no harm or threats from the rebels, but are worried about the airstrikes because the government are conducting airstrikes against where rebels are available. But it's basically mainly civilians who are there. This is coming at a time where there is a diplomacy going behind the scene. President Assad is leaning on the support from Russia and Iran and vowing to defeat what he describes as terrorists. And the Iranian foreign minister arrives in Turkey and probably is meeting now with his Turkish counterpart as we're speaking at the moment.
Lina, just tell us more about those diplomatic efforts. And of course, there are still those ongoing Syria talks as well. Just tell us about the scope for negotiations at the moment.
Well, basically, this whole move is seen as backed by Turkey, who has been inviting Assad for years to talk, to find solutions for the refugees, to secure the borders, to address the Kurdish presence on the border with Turkey. That's something that Turkey is very worried about. But Assad has been ignoring all these calls. So it seems that now the table has changed and Assad is trying to find a way to talk to the Turks while actually pounding civilians with airstrikes, trying to deter the rebels. But apparently also this kind of operation is to force Assad into talks, to bring Assad back to a peace road that he ignored for years, but also to limit Iran's presence and influence inside Syria.
Thank you very much, Lina. That's the BBC's Lina Sinjab in Beirut there for us. We can now speak to Ismail Al-Abdullah, a volunteer with the White Helmets, a Syrian-led humanitarian group which is supporting communities affected by the war in the country. Ismail, thank you for joining us on BBC News. Just tell us, where have you been over the past few days and what have you witnessed?
I have been in Aleppo city for 24 hours and now I am in the north countryside of Idlib. Just as we talk it now, the Assad's regime and Russia committed horrible massacre in one of the IDP camps in north of Idlib, killing 7 civilians and injuring 10 others, including children. Other airstrike hit Idlib city, and there is a massacre also. More than 5 people were killed, including children, and injuring many people, and destruction. They destroyed many civilian buildings. In Aleppo city, the same strategy, the same thing. They targeted yesterday the university hospital in Aleppo, and now they targeted the Mahatat Baghdad neighborhood. And we hearing from our system, warning system, that the war plans will attack Aleppo right now and attack Idlib. And they once again attacking the all residential areas in northwest Syria. The death toll yesterday reached 25 civilians were killed and more, including 10 children, and injuring more than 125. The same strategy, the same thing, the civilians paying the price of the fight. People are fleeing there to survive from this horrible circumstances. The airstrike only target the civilians in Idlib city and in Aleppo city. Many casualties fell yesterday in Aleppo, and the day before yesterday on one of the whereabouts that were crowded with people on the entrance of Aleppo. More than 15 people in one airstrike were killed. Our teams on alert. They are now in Aleppo city operating in Aleppo city, trying to open the road, trying to help the people to evacuate those who want to evacuate from Aleppo city. On the other hand, in the countryside of Aleppo, in the countryside of Idlib, in Saraqib, in Ma'arat al-Nu'aman, our teams are there to remove the ordinance, to open the road.
Ismail, I'm really sorry to interrupt you because I know we just have limited time with you. We're seeing these images of bombed out buildings. Just tell us how easy is it to rescue people from these buildings, and do you have the resources you need at the moment?
To be honest, this what is happening right beyond our capacity, because now new areas that we have access to, and the Assad's regime and Russia bombings everywhere, not just one place. Idlib city under attack. Our volunteer tracking the helicopter and warplanes every second. There's a warn from a warplane in the skies that will target a neighborhood in Idlib city or in Aleppo city, and the countryside of Aleppo, and all the countryside of Idlib, and all the countryside of Aleppo. The horrible images coming from everywhere. The people, even the people who are trying to return, there were many casualties that fell, and we don't have the statistic or the correct number of the victims that who fell, because they go to unsafe places. They want to return their home, and the UXO explode. And in Khan Sheikhoun, we heard about
it's incredibly, as you say there, it's incredibly difficult to get independent information about what's happening on the ground there in Aleppo and Idlib. But thank you so much for taking your time and speaking to us on BBC News.